We sit, we cheer. Joe Biden's brain is fried. The world knows it. Late night comedy hosts are mocking Joe Biden. Democrats are demanding he step down. Kamala Harris, next in line, could never defeat Donald Trump. Donald Trump is on track to lose in November. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm going to come out and say it because it's a bit hyperbolic. But according to the polls, economic data, it suggests a Donald Trump victory. That's the truth. However, when you look at the more nuanced politics of what's going on in this country, I think it's fair to say that there is a shadow campaign like there was in 2020, and Donald Trump is on track to lose. Why? Because Republicans cannot and will not address a very serious problem, one that was brought up by Donald Trump back in 2016 when he first won. Trump said illegal immigrants are voting in this country to the tune of millions. The media, of course, said that's a lie. Well, to be fair, Donald Trump just saying that doesn't prove anything. But also, just calling it a lie doesn't prove anything either. Unless they do a full forensic audit of an election, how do you determine whether or not there is or is not a problem? I don't know that Donald Trump is right about millions of illegal immigrants voting. What I do know is that, for one, initially it doesn't matter if they vote. If they are counted on the census, then the states that allow illegal immigrants will get more electoral college votes, and thus Democrats are cheating. But now the fix is in, says the Daily Caller. The SAVE Act. Republicans want to make it so that if you want to vote, you got to prove you're a citizen. And Democrats say, why? Why even bother doing that? Now, there's two problems here. The first, this bill won't pass. Even if Republicans in the House say yes to the SAVE Act, the Senate will not vote on it. And even if it gets to Joe Biden, he will veto it and say we don't need it. And you're not going to get a veto-proof majority in the House or the Senate. So this goes nowhere. And that's not the big problem. That's just one of them. You also have the Help America Vote verification system, which is showing us outright anomalous voter registration data not being addressed by anyone. So I ask you this. What is the remedy? If illegal immigrants vote, what is the remedy? Now, of course, we hear from Joe Biden and the Democrats that they're not. It's illegal for them to vote. Your theft is illegal. People do that every day. Murder is illegal. People do that every day. More importantly, speeding is illegal, and quite literally everyone is speeding. So telling me a thing is illegal so it doesn't happen is just utter nonsense. But I'm supposed to sit here and be confident that Trump and the Republicans can win when there is no effective system in place to prevent illegal immigrants from voting. And they've added, 7 to 10 million in the past 4 years? Now, of course, there's also the legal immigration, which is about 1 million per year. And these people overwhelmingly vote Democrat. I do not see how you solve for this. Now, of course, Trump is very, very ahead in the polls. Joe Biden says he's not backing down. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe none of that matters. Maybe it will be Joe Biden. He says, I'm going to run this race. Maybe the point is they're going to convince you Trump can't lose. And so you're distracted while the real problem is happening. Now, I don't know how many, if any, illegal immigrants vote. My point is the system is insecure. We can't track it properly. And there are many municipalities that allow non-citizens to vote. So what happens then? Well, you've got to register to vote if you're a non-citizen in these places, right? Uh-oh. That includes your federal registration. You know, when they say, this is what Biden says, he says, it's illegal for non-citizens to vote. They would go to jail or get deported. I got to tell you, I'm not sure Democrats are concerned about the well-being of the individual illegal immigrant who votes. In which case, sure, there might be illegal immigrants voting. And if for some reason they get caught, you think Democrats care they're getting deported? No, they win power. This is it. The election fix is in. Now, Donald Trump has issued a statement. Republicans must pass the SAVE Act or go home and cry yourself to sleep. Non-citizen illegal migrants are getting the right to vote, being pushed by crooked Democrat politicians who are not being stopped by an equally dishonest Justice Department. Our whole voting system is under siege. Harmeet and David, go to court and get this stopped now. The Dems can't win on their policies. The only way they can win is to cheat. They do it at every level of government, and they do it well. That's how they get an incapacitated moron like Joe Biden elected. Get tough, RNC, Michael W., Speaker Johnson, and all state and local Republican politicians. The Justice Department is corrupt and won't do a thing to help. They have no shame. All I can say is that if I'm elected president, we will pursue election fraudsters at levels never seen before, and they will be sent to prison for long periods of time. We already know who you are. Don't do it. Zuckerbucks, be careful. Wow. Trump posted this morning. What are you going to do, Trump? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are any of you going to be able to do about this? Here's the important thing. Winning at the state level where you can and gaining control of as many state delegations, legislatures, governorships as possible. This has to be remedied at the local level. California will keep cheating. Illinois, New York, Washington, they will cheat to the high heavens. You need to be able to shut them down at the state level. Let me break it down for you real simply for those that don't know. California allows illegal immigrants in to the tune of millions. They call themselves a sanctuary state in defiance of the Supreme Court. They do not deport illegal immigrants. The census then asks people who lives here. Congressional seats are then apportioned based on how many people live there, not how many citizens. This means Democrat districts are likely around 650 to 700,000 U.S. citizens and then maybe 50K illegal immigrants. They give themselves a buffer margin to increase the amount of electoral college votes they get and seats in Congress. So their votes outweigh the votes of the American people. But think about what this means. It means that one Democrat has a captured constituency of illegal immigrants who cannot vote. Right. Think about what that means. In the average Republican district, you're going to have 775,000 people. They all get a say on who their candidate, who their nominee is. In the Democrat California districts or sanctuary state districts, there's a portion that are non-citizens who are represented by the member of Congress who don't have the right to vote. I tell you where this is going. Democrats of the future will say, you know, you're right, Tim. That's wrong. We do represent these non-citizens, and they should have the right to vote too. And that's exactly where we're going. Ballotpedia breaks it down. Details about non-citizen voting in local elections. As of June 2024, the District of Columbia and municipalities in California, Maryland, and Vermont allowed non-citizens to vote in some or all local elections. They say, don't worry, it's illegal to vote in the federal elections. Meaningless. San Francisco says in 2016, voters in SF passed a charter amendment called Prop N with 54% support. The amendment read, shall the city allow a non-citizen resident of San Francisco who is a legal voting age and the parent or legal guardian of or legally recognized caregiver of a child living in SF, school district, blah, 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 the right to vote for members of the Board of Education. The law took effect in 2018. SF Superior Court Judge Richard B. Ulmer Jr. struck down Prop N in July 2022, stating the law violated the state constitution. A California Court of Appeal overturned his ruling a few months later, arguing that Prop N was in fact permissible under the state's constitution and the city charter. According to the city of San Francisco's website, on August 8th, 2023, the California Court of Appeals upheld their non-citizen voting program. D.C. allows it. In Maryland, Barnesville, Cheverly, Chevy Chase Section 3, Garrett Park, Glen Echo, Hyattsville, Martin's Additions, Mount Rainier, Riverdale Park, Somerset, and Tacoma Park allow non-citizens to vote. In Vermont, Burlington, Montpelier, Winooski, same deal. Now, hold on. You may be saying, but Tim, these are local elections. Yeah, let me break it down for you. They are told you are allowed to vote in local elections, not federal ones, but you better show up to register to vote. The non-citizen shows up to get their registration paperwork in order. And when they do, whoopsie, it's the same registration for the federal elections. Or more importantly, maybe it's not. Maybe they show up for the election school board election happens the same day as any other election. And they show up and they say, who are you voting for president? And they go, Biden, I guess. Because they don't know better. Tucker Carlson warned about this, and I don't see a direct remedy. The only way to win is going to be mass turnout. Every single person needs to turn out and vote to shut this down. Otherwise, this country is gone. Now, they've flooded this country with millions of illegal immigrants in the past couple of years to the point where they have shocked and terrified people in Chicago, New York, LA. That could make a difference. But the media machine, it goes hard, ladies and gentlemen, and there are people who believe absolute, utter nonsense. They believe whatever psychobabble garbage the media tells them to believe. And I don't know how you remedy that. So what we have now, my friends, those of you who are watching and paying attention, who question and research and try to figure things out for yourselves, we all have differing opinions. But we are now trapped, weighed down by the horde, the cultists, the illegal immigrants, all of these working to destroy the fabric of the American system of governance. The Daily Caller breaks it down. Democrats are against a House Republican-sponsored bill requiring voters to prove they're U.S. citizens before casting a ballot. Republican Texas Rep. Chip Roy introduced the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, SAVE Act, to protect U.S. elections from the millions of illegal immigrants flooding our border every year under the Biden administration. Secure elections are a key cornerstone for any representative government. Without them, we won't have a country. Not surprisingly, Democrats are firmly against the SAVE Act, claiming that any justification for the bill is built on falsehoods about our election system. The White House put out a statement Monday morning and over the weekend. Axios reported that House Democrats plan on bringing out the big guns against the bill, coming up for a vote this week. Why? Even if it passes the House, it won't pass the Senate, and Biden will veto it. What's the point? What will this accomplish? Nothing. Congress is impotent. They can do nothing. The administration strongly opposes H.R. 8281, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. It is a federal crime punishable by prison and fines. The alleged justification for this bill is based on easily disproven falsehoods. Additionally, making a false claim of citizenship or unlawfully voting in an election is punishable by removal from the United States and a permanent bar to admission. Woo! Wow. I didn't realize they came around so quickly on the two-way argument. Murder is already illegal. Why ban guns? Right? Well, then. If murder is already illegal, and it's already illegal to go and shoot a bunch of people, we don't need to ban guns. It's just a waste of time. Thank you for the argument, Democrats. Now, the reality is the two things are very distinct. For one, guns are a right enshrined and protected by the Constitution, your God-given right to defense. Voting is not. Voting is not a guaranteed right for anybody. Voting is a privilege. And if we want there to be a limiting factor on voting, I think that's absolutely fine. You will have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to speak. You have a right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. But whether or not you get to change how our system works, not so much I agree with anyone being able to do that. The founding fathers understood this. And, well, we've seen the system erode over time to the point where it's causing us quite a bit of problems. House Minority Whip Catherine Clark told her colleagues they are urged to vote no on the SAVE Act because it would prevent Americans from registering to vote with their driver's license alone and would further intimidate election officials and overburden states' abilities to enroll new voters. Illegal immigration and its effects on American citizens have become one of the top issues in the 2024 election. Well, it's number one. It was for a while. It was number one for a while, but now Biden's failed mental state is number one. Biden's border policies turned every state into a border state. This is a serious problem that needs fixing. This is putting vulnerable Democrats in a position where they have to choose to either toe the party line by supporting illegal immigrants with the right to vote, which is undeniably what is and will happen, or vote to block non-citizen voting to save their campaigns. Now, that's interesting. How many Democrats have constituents who are Democrats but are concerned about the illegal immigration problem? Many of these cultists will do whatever the Democratic Party tells them to do. It's racist. You're a bigot. Many of them will say it's good that illegal immigrants vote. We're all people. But some of them, maybe enough, are going to say, if you block this bill, we will vote you out. We'll see. The SAVE Act has a good chance of passing the House now that Speaker Mike Johnson has signed on to support the bill. The Speaker's office released a 22-page report outlining the loopholes in current federal laws under the National Voter Registration Act and the Welfare Reform Act of '96 that paved the way for non-citizen voters. The Biden administration, through the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, allows illegal immigrants to be eligible to apply for work authorization and simultaneously apply for a Social Security number within 180 days of applying for asylum, whether or not their application is fraudulent. And what we're seeing now with Help America Vote verification is that millions of people are trying to register to vote who don't appear in the Social Security network database. So who are they and why are they registering to vote? Furthermore, why are some of them dead? It's an interesting question. The Biden administration's efforts to dismantle border security and related policies have enabled millions of aliens to enter the country, violate our immigration laws, and exploit a system to obtain an SSN. President Biden recently referred to the flood of aliens crossing the border as voters. One state Democratic official is promoting the idea that individuals are eligible to vote in federal elections, even if they're not a citizen, unable to prove citizenship, and in fact, ineligible to vote under federal law, Johnson stated in his report. The biggest hurdle for Republicans will be getting the Democrat-controlled Senate to pass the bill, which it won't. Republican Utah Senator Mike Lee is sponsoring the bill on the Senate side. Illegal immigrants and non-citizens across the nation are being improperly registered to vote, allowing them to cast illegitimate ballots in federal elections, Lee said in a statement with Roy. At a time when trust in voting is more important than ever, we must stop foreign election interference and pass the SAVE Act. Voting is both a sacred right and responsibility of American citizenship, and allowing the people of other nations access to our elections is a grave blow to our security and governance. I wonder if I have the HAVV pulled up. I think I pulled it up the other day, but I don't know if I have it right now. Is that's not it? No, that's the Gazette. Let me just, we're gonna keep visiting this story. Help America Vote verification so that you can understand. This is the Social Security Administration's website. I'm going to choose the latest week, June 22nd, 2024, and I will show you how about Missouri. 17,096 individuals registered to vote without an ID. 1,889 came back with no match. 167 were dead. I'm going to ask you this, as I've asked every time we've covered this story. How do 167 applications get filled out matching the name and social security number of a dead person? Now, you might come to me and say, maybe they applied to register to vote and then died on the spot. SSA got their information before the paperwork went in. Sure. I mean, maybe. Highly unlikely. The person who registers to vote when they're alive. So you'd have to have me believe that, we're talking about a little bit more than around 1% of these applications. Someone, for some reason, fills it out, submits it to the DMV, and what? The DMV just holds it for a little while? They hold it for a little while. This person then, drops dead. The family immediately says, oh no, they're dead, and then files the paperwork with the Social Security Administration, who instantly upload it before the DMV. No, sorry, I don't buy it. Maybe in some instances, something like that could happen, but 167 times in a week? No, thank you. And you might say, but maybe it's not a week. Maybe they're holding on to these. No, I got to tell you, they update this every week. We get numbers every single week. Here's the previous week, 22,000 with 215 dead. 2,480, 10%. 10% of the people who registered to vote on the week ending June 15th came back no social security number name match. Okay, maybe some of them wrote the name wrong. Maybe they got a number wrong. Then John Smith, my social security number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or whatever. Or I think it's 8 numbers, right? And no, it's 9. Yeah. Let's say that's what they put. But oops, they put 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They mixed them up. Yeah, that would come back no match. Well, I don't know what to tell you. This does not add up. Texas, earlier in the year, was seeing millions, hundreds of thousands, 100,000 plus every week signing up. In 1 week, Missouri had 20-something thousand dead people. Let me see. Let me try and find what. When was this? I think it was like April 20th. Let me see if I can find when Missouri had all these dead people trying to vote. Okay, well, here's Missouri. And I chose randomly the week of April 20th, which was not the right one. 97,000 people tried to vote or to register to vote without an ID. It's very strange. 7,000 came back with no match. 3,766 were dead. Texas had 249,770. 44,000, no match. 4,659, dead. I'm telling you, it's staring you in the face. They can scream Save Act all they want. Trump can scream Save Act all they want. This is likely the shadow campaign right now. And we only found it on accident. Someone noticed this weird voter verification thing. And I tell you, no one's addressing it. The Republicans aren't addressing it. Why isn't anyone filing subpoenas to the SSA to determine what is going on with this ridiculous amount of people trying to register to vote who don't have IDs and who are coming back as dead or non-matching? 44,000 people in 1 week? Let's make sure we get that number right. Where do we see that? 44,000 in Texas. 44,000 people in 1 week had no match. How does that make sense? You mean to tell me that around a fifth, 20% of people who register to vote in Texas who don't have IDs put their name in wrong? BS. The likely answer is illegal immigrants coming through Eagle Pass are being given work permits when they file for asylum by people at CBP, these human trafficker scumbags. And then they're saying, okay, I got my info. Now I'm going to register to vote. What are you going to do about it? There will be no large-scale investigation. It's this simple. If illegal immigrants vote and Donald Trump loses, the Democrats controlling the DOJ will never investigate any of this. The states will never investigate any of this because they're cheating to steal power. Now, I don't know how big of an impact this will be. I'm just saying we've been covering the story over and over and over again, and we've gotten no solid answers. Texas said, certainly you're mistaken. We've not registered that many people. That's wrong. We don't know why their number says that. Missouri said, we're doing some voter roll cleanup, which doesn't make sense based on how the HAVV works. They may be doing voter roll cleanup, but that would mean they're holding onto their registration forms years later, decades later. That doesn't seem right to me, but maybe. I'm not saying I know for sure. I'll put it this way. When you have 500,000 people, let's do this, because that was the week of April 20th. June 22nd, we have 211,419 people trying to register to vote, and they don't have IDs. 35,000, no match, and 1,000 are dead. Okay, I don't know how those 1,000 died and how that happened, but 35,000 people who don't have IDs tried to register and came back with no match. How did that happen? And let's make sure we break this down so you really understand what all of this means. HAVA is the Help America Vote Act of 2002. And HAVV requires that people submit a voter registration. And when they don't have a license, the state can request a 4-digit SSN verification from the SSA. The state must submit the applicant's name, date of birth, and last 4 of their SSN. The HAVV system provides one of the following responses. That's all it's for. I don't see how Republicans fix this one. I think that was it. If this is the way it's going to be, 2020 may have really been the last election. Now, the average moron in this country will still think elections are happening. They won't be able to tell the difference. They'll say, oh, I guess we lost again. And they will just live under the boot that they're told to live under. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.